Hello, and welcome to the Art of Selling Online Courses. We're here to share winning strategies and secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. My name is John Ainsworth, and today's guest is Ricky Kessler. He's an internet entrepreneur, influencer, and co-founder and owner of Income School. He's helped numerous people become financially independent by helping them create their own online businesses. Now, today we're going to talk about why to focus on organic traffic versus ads, why YouTube is the best organic traffic source, what size channel you need to succeed, and how to get started with YouTube. Before we start learning from Ricky, I want to mention our sponsor, and today's sponsor is my company, Data Driven Marketing. We help online course creators increase their online course revenue 2 to 5 times through strategic funnel optimization. If you want to learn how much more you could make, then get your free profit increase report. Go to pimpyourfunnel.com to find out how much more money you could be making, and we'll do you a personalized report. We're going to give you details of what tactics you should use and send you some free training about exactly how to do it. Ricky, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. I'm excited to be here.
Nice. So, would you give us a little bit of background before we get into the details here about Income School and like how it works and what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. At Income School, we do a couple of things. The main thing is we're teaching people how to get organic traffic, I guess, and to turn it into an income. I kind of pause on that because it's always interesting to explain it to people, although you and your audience are going to understand it better than most. And that is that most of the people who come to us at Income School are regular people with a regular job. They don't see themselves as entrepreneurs, but they just want some financial freedom. Maybe they're tired of the grind of a day-to-day job. And so they're wanting to get some sort of a side income. Mm-hmm. And we help them start, blogs, YouTube channels, and then we teach them how to monetize those and turn those into an income, and with the goal of, in many cases, replacing their day job. The other thing that we do is we do those things as well. So we own a portfolio of websites that we build. We're constantly working on YouTube channels, kind of just trying and testing out new things as the industry is constantly evolving and adapting. So that's what Income School is all about, just helping people build an income. And it really has expanded. Today, we get more people who come from, I own a business, or I have an online business or even a physical local business, and I want to improve SEO, help me get more organic traffic. But it started out on the other side. I want to make some money. And so let me get an audience organically and turn that into an income.
Got it. And what are you seeing in terms of, obviously, our audience is people who are selling courses. That's the main right. Focus, nearly everybody in the audience. What are you seeing in terms of the different kinds of business models? Obviously, you've got affiliates and you've got ads and you've got courses, and then there's other things as well that you could do, memberships versus courses, which is kind of a subtler difference. And then, what are you seeing in terms of the business models that are working for your customers, for your clients?
For many of them, it starts out with a much more passive model, which is usually standard affiliate marketing, making product recommendations throughout your content. And then in addition to that, programmatic advertising, bloggers, as well as, on YouTube, obviously the ads, they come very easily. But, for bloggers, there's some good organizations out there that will provide programmatic ads that help optimize those on your website to generate a pretty awesome income just from those passive sources. When it comes to courses, memberships, digital product content, I find those to be actually my favorite source of income. It's where you take your audience and you multiply that income many times over.
Yeah.
But what it requires is kind of a higher level of engagement, a higher level of authoritativeness and interaction and rapport with that audience. And so for those who just kind of want to do the passive game, many choose not to do it. But for those who do it well, and including for obviously what Income School is, it's by far the biggest earner for those who are doing it.
Yeah, we've got a client at the moment who she was making decent money, she was doing well for herself. If you compare to the average population, she was absolutely crushing it. But she had this huge audience and she was only making money through ads. But she had some courses, but she wasn't doing stuff with the courses. And we started working with how do you get the people from your audience onto your email list? How do you get them to buy these courses from you? Oh my God, she is just crushing it at the moment. It's incredible. She's already done all the work with the audience. If you've got that audience, then the courses is so much more profitable than ads and affiliate. It's crazy. But I see a lot of people in that world that, like you're talking about, who want it to be passive. But it's just like, yeah, but it's passive, but it's like a tenth as much money as you could be making here. It's like,
Right.
how badly do you want it to be that passive? Like, because course businesses aren't that, like you have to work right to make it happen, but it's like, it's still completely online. It's still like, you're still not having individual attention with people. You can get customer service people. So I think it's massive potential in the market at the moment of all these people who've done ads, affiliate stuff, who could move to courses. So I love that you're kind of seeing it the same way. That's great.
Absolutely. And I think a big piece of that is a lot of these people who build up an audience, they didn't come into it with kind of that long-term business mindset. They came into it as like, I'm going to make content and maybe I'll make some money at this. And they, in many cases, haven't really thought about how they're going to expand beyond themselves. And so when they're like, oh, I'm going to create a course, well, then, wow, then I got to, I don't understand the technology very well, the platforms, I got to learn all this stuff. And then I have to provide support. Obviously, I'm going to need some of that. And how am I going to do all this? And, it's not going to be very passive. It's, well, okay, yeah, but other people are experts in these things and it's not that expensive to get them involved. We just have to expand our team beyond ourselves. And I think that's just a lesson that more people need to learn. And I think many of these content creators that get an audience didn't come into it with that mindset.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah. Okay, so somebody's on board. They're like, great, I get the course model, but maybe they're an expert in something and they've already got a course, but they haven't got the traffic side of things. So let's kind of hit on that.
Absolutely.
Why? I know that you feel people should start with organic rather than with ads. So can you talk everybody through why you think that's the right angle to go?
Yeah. When it comes to ads, it's kind of like being on a treadmill. You can't ever stop paying for ads, creating a new ad. You can't, with content, I guess you could say the same thing. You can't just stop making content, but when you start to build up that audience, then all of the content you've created is attracting people. And so they keep coming in over and over and over and over again. It's much more evergreen, even on YouTube. With paid ads, you can put a lot of effort into it. And I've done this myself. Paid ads is one of the areas in this industry that I have not nailed it. And you can pour a lot of money into ads and get absolutely no result. And even if you do get a result, that result, it has to continue. You have to keep doing it. You have to keep paying for it. Once you start to get organic traffic, I think, two things happen. The first one is you get that traffic coming to see your content for free. You're not paying for anything at this point. All you've put into it is the time and effort to create the content. But the second thing that happens is there's a different level of rapport, of trust that's created. So when I see an ad, I come into viewing that ad with a level of skepticism and distrust. This is a salesman who wants to sell me something. Unless something about it is compelling to me really quickly, I'm either going to skip the ad, or if I can't skip the ad, I'm just going to tune out. I don't really care what they have to say because salesmen just annoy you for the most part. When it's content that they have come to, they've chosen to watch, and the majority of the content isn't a sales pitch, which is what a paid ad really is, then as you consume that content, you're building rapport with the person who created that content. And so again, you just have that much higher level of trust. And so when the time comes that there's a kind of natural place to pitch that course, then it's a much, much easier sell. That's been my experience so far. We have at Income School, for those who know us, we have a reputation of authenticity, just being really genuine people. But we ran a Facebook ads campaign, and all the comments that I saw on that ad were, oh goodness, just another, sleazy get rich quick scheme. And a lot of just like really some pretty derogatory comments. And that was the mentality of the people viewing the ad was, there's no way this is real. These guys are just like everybody else. And so within, 1 or 2 minutes, or sometimes even less, it's just hard to convince people that it's something different.
I think I agree that you're right, but I think there's some interesting stuff here actually that could be useful for you.
Yeah.
What we find is we recommend to everybody start with organic, get everything working with organic, completely crush it. And then once you reach a certain level, start to put ads into it as well. And so here's the reasons that I say that, right? So in order to make ads work, you need to have great courses. Let's say you're doing course business, right? Great courses,
Right.
whatever. Great funnel that's going to convert people from cold all the way through the whole process. So they buy from you, buy again, and you make good money from that. And that isn't just like the front end funnel. It's not just like, okay, get somebody in, get them to buy. Because to have a profitable front end funnel, to actually make profit from the ads in that first 5 hours, 2 days, whatever it is that you've got as the length of that initial funnel, is really hard. But if you can have a whole follow-up process, and so you make money, you start to make money from them after 18 days or 30 days or 45 days, then it starts to become really valuable. And what you need to have is, let's say after 30 days, you've broken even. Well, that's no good. You don't want to break even. You want to make money, right? So then you've got to have the long-term follow-up process over the months and months after that, where the actual profit comes in from. So if you start trying to do it with ads, you've got to build that whole process and make all of that work while putting the traffic in through ads to test it. And it's so depressing to put the money in through ads and lose money continually that everybody gives up. Like everybody. I've never seen someone go, oh, I'm going to just put like whatever it is, 50,000 in through ads as my way of testing this out. Because not only now are you testing the course and the funnel, you're also testing the ads, and you've probably got them wrong. So you've got the ads, you've got the targeting, you've got the messaging in the ads, you've got the images in the ads. All of these things are wrong, and you don't know which bit is wrong. And it's just like, it's terrible. Whereas if you do it with organic, right, you start to build up organic, you start to build up a following, you refine your messaging, you get the course that your audience wants, and now you've got product market fit. That's great. And then you gradually start to build up the funnel, and you test it, you refine it, you do the email promotions, and you set up the front end funnel, et cetera, et cetera. And then at some point, you're like, this is really working. And then you start to put ads in. Right. And now you know your messaging, you know your images, you know your funnel, you know your course, all of that. But for God's sake, don't do it the other way around.
I think that's a really, really, really key point here, though. And I agree with you completely. And that is, if you're creating it all at once and then throwing money at ads, you're using that money to test every step of that process. Yeah. But when you have like a working funnel, like at Income School, we have a funnel. It works really well. And it's not a 3-day funnel or a 5-day funnel. It does take a bit longer for most consumers to end up signing up, but it works extremely well. And so to add on a paid ad strategy on top of that, to just speed up the process to find more people who aren't finding you organically, that makes complete sense. So I'm with you. I'm not 100% against paid ads, but I certainly wouldn't start there. And it's probably a ways out for any content creator. I think there's a ton of stuff to test and to get right. You don't even know if you have the right course yet until you have organic traffic and people actually buying it and participating.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, even once you've got all of that right, ads is still hard. Like it's still hard. It's like, for God, don't make your life even harder by trying to do 5 hard things at once.
Yep.
Okay. End of rant. So talk to us about YouTube, right? So we're agreed that organic is the place to start. There's a bunch of different organic sources that people could have. Why do you think YouTube's the best one?
Yeah. So it's funny that I'm saying this because, my primary income YouTube channel is Income School, and there I focus on blogging. And that's a big part of that's because my primary audience, most of them are not coming into this thinking I'm going to sell courses. Mm-hmm. And so blogging is a fantastic way to get organic traffic. But with YouTube, there's something different that takes place when somebody starts watching your videos and then even chooses to subscribe and follow and actually watch multiple videos. And that is that there's a relationship kind of being created. There are plenty of YouTube videos that you can watch. You watch one video, you get the information that you came for, and you leave. I do that all the time, especially like if I'm trying to fix something. I'll go find a video that's a tutorial, I'll watch it. And most of the time, I don't even remember who created that video. But when done in the right way, we can create content that's compelling, that makes people want to consume more of your content. And as they do that, they develop this relationship, this level of rapport and trust, to the point that when that sales pitch comes, it's a much, much, much easier sell. With the blogging, the interaction is much more transactional. Basically, every blog post is what I explained that some videos are. And that is that a person finds it through a search on the web. They find a piece of content, they consume that content, and then they're gone. Oftentimes, for one question, they're reading 3 or 4 different articles to get all the different perspectives, or to kind of hear what everybody thinks, what's the right approach to whatever it is that they're researching. And so there's no relationship being created. And if they see some sort of sales pitch, like they're entering a funnel, you've got to have some really good, really compelling lead magnet. You've got to have some really compelling interlinking to send people to another piece of content that's going to be a really compelling reason to sign up for an email list. And then you've got to warm them up over time. It's a much more difficult process to build that rapport. On YouTube, it just happens so fast. That video format, I think every sense that of the 5 senses, every sense that we can add when we're giving content to people, giving information to people, strengthens that interaction. So with reading, I mean, they're just seeing it. When it's audio only, that's great. Like we can hear it. And there is something different about audio that feels a little bit more personal. Then with video, it's like we're seeing it, and it's way more interactive than just written words on a blog post. But we're seeing it, we're hearing it. And sometimes we're even like interacting with it. You'll hear something said and you're like, yeah, I agree with that. Or you react in different ways. And so we get much more engaged and much more involved. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to.
Where they could lick you as well. You think that's
They could shake hands, give you a high five, licking too, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes total sense. Like I do a lot of videos for people one-to-one. And when I do introductions, like connecting people together, I'll send like an introduction video. And almost every single time people will reply back and go like, oh, that was so cool.
Yeah.
I could have said exactly the same thing in an email and it would have been totally fine. Everyone loves getting them. It's just more personal. They can see your face, they can hear your voice. It's like it gives a lot more trust in there, and you just pick up on a lot more from it. I totally agree. Yeah.
And it's kind of like when people are on social media and forums or like on Facebook or whatever, like people will be can get pretty mean with each other. It's just very, very impersonal. And then it's like, okay, yeah, but like, let's start up a Zoom call. Or how about you record a video of yourself saying that same thing to me? Would you do it? No, you probably wouldn't. There's a different level of, I don't know, just interaction that we do. And really, I think that's why there's some services out there that are really successful. I mean, imagine there's a person in your membership that, their birthday comes up or they achieve some sort of milestone and they get an email from you congratulating him. It's like, cool, thanks for that automated email. Or it's like, hey, in their email, in their inbox, they see there's a little video that was sent to them there's like services like Bonjoro and others where you just like record a little, you actually saying, hey, I saw you achieve this milestone. I think that's amazing. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you. And it's a video. Suddenly it feels way more personal. And like on YouTube, even though you're creating video for a lot of people, sometimes through the verbiage we use and stuff, it can feel almost like you're just there with them. Like we're just having a conversation. And I think that's a big part of it. It just feels much more personal.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. So, okay, let me flip this around then. So YouTube's better in terms of you've got more of an interaction with people. People feel like they trust you more. You're more likely to build an audience from there versus it being transactional with just a blog post. The fear, though, I would suspect some people have got is, well, that's going to be really hard, though, to build up the YouTube channel. So what kind of size of YouTube channel does someone need to have for this to make sense, for them to be able to actually make an income from it?
Yeah. The amazing thing is it really doesn't have to be very big. It's going to depend a bit, obviously, from on the industry, on the topic. There are people who can have very small channels that it's in a very kind of niche thing, but it's a very high ticket kind of thing. And even though the audience is small, like it's extremely valuable. We launched our Project 24 membership that just, at the time just taught people how to blog and, build a website. We launched that to a YouTube audience of 12,000 subscribers. And we did over $100,000 in sales in the first month. And thereafter, we were still doing $30,000, $40,000 in sales every month. And it's grown since then. It grown consistently for 4 years now, almost month to month. It's more,
Right.
and it's just been incredible. And now our audience is close to 200,000 subscribers, which subscribers on YouTube, I'll add in here for those who are, you see that on the outside, but subscribers is kind of a little bit of a vanity metric. There are channels with 1 million subscribers that get 5,000 views on every video. And then the occasional video that just kind of like takes off and gets hundreds of thousands of views. Then channels like on the Income School channel, we have almost 200,000 subscribers, and we consistently get a minimum of 10,000 views in the first week on every video. And so the level of engagement of that audience is going to make a difference as well. And so the number of subscribers, I'm saying, doesn't matter as much as people sometimes think it does. It's more about just how much engagement, how many people can we get coming back. And what we've discovered on Income School is repeatedly, we hear this story. I saw this video. There's several of them out there, but it's like, I saw this one video. It finally struck a chord. I've been searching for this kind of information. This one struck a chord. So I went down the rabbit hole, and I just spent the last week binging videos on your channel. And then next thing they knew, they were a member of Project 24.
Right.
And that same sort of thing happens a lot of the time with people who are learning from us, who now have their own courses on various topics, by the way. So that's one thing about with Income School and what we teach is, because we're good at the traffic game, we often focus on volume. And so many of the courses that are being sold are kind of lower ticket. And that's because some of the industries that people are in are like hobby industries. Nobody expects to spend $2,000 on an online course to learn how to play disc golf. It's just not going to happen. Whereas in a B2B sort of scenario, learning how to be more productive in a job that higher productivity means way more income, multiple thousands of dollars for a course can just be totally normal. But I guess back to the original question, if you have an audience of 10,000 subscribers and you're consistently getting even a couple thousand views per video, what that tells me is that people are coming back. And when that's happening, we can sell a course and make a great income from it.
Nice. Okay, so if someone's sold on this, they're like, okay, that sounds realistic, or they've maybe got a YouTube channel, but they're not completely crushing it yet. What's some tips? What can people do?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple of really important things that a lot of people don't figure out when they're starting YouTube. One is that we have to figure out sort of what our channel is. There are a lot of people who, they start making videos. They're like, well, let me try this. I've seen somebody do something like this, and I saw somebody else do something like this, and their video really worked. And what ends up happening is YouTube can't quite figure out what our channel is. Now, I'm not just talking about the topic. I'm even talking about sort of the type of video. So there are some channels that we watch them and we just watch them for entertainment's sake. There's not a lot of connection being made, but we know who they are. We remember them. And so there's maybe some connection being made there too, to some extent, but we watch them because we just enjoy watching the content. And some of those channels blow up and just get huge. And in some of those cases, you would watch them and be like, this is really great, but would I buy a course from this person? Like, what are they teaching me? They're entertaining me. Maybe if it's a comedian and they taught a comedy course, then yes, for sure. Like that could be really good. There are channels that are just like very informational, but if we're if we bounce between those, we make one video that's like really meant to be entertaining and you're trying to go viral. You're trying to do something crazy and go viral. And then in the next video, you're sitting there looking at the camera and just saying, bullet point number 1, 2, and 3, even if it's the same topic, YouTube can't figure out what that is because the audience for each of those is a little bit different.
Okay.
And so YouTube's trying to figure out what audience of theirs, what group of people to show your video to. And so when I publish a video now, YouTube shows it to my subscribers, obviously, that have notifications turned on. It'll put it in the feed or on the homepage of other subscribers who maybe don't subscribe to notifications, but then it'll also put it in the feed and in the up next and suggested videos and stuff for a lot of other people who are watching channels or videos that YouTube has seen that, oh, this audience generally seems to like this audience, and that works really well. We've also seen some channels where they tried a whole bunch of different things. One video worked really well. And so what do? They make more videos like that one.
Right.
But now all of a sudden their channel's pigeonholed into this one thing. And YouTube suddenly is like, oh, this is a channel about that. And then every video that you make that's not just like that just flops. And you suddenly find yourself stuck. So anyway, now I feel like I'm just kind of dancing around a bunch of things. But the point is, we need to figure out what the audience we think we want. And we need to start there and craft content for them. And one of the easiest ways to do this is try to find existing channels on YouTube that seem to have an audience that's either similar or the same as what you want, and look at not only the topics that they make videos about and which topics do well, but also look at that format of the videos. What's kind of that mix? Is it a really personal, I'm getting to know you and you're sharing helpful information kind of channel? Is it super information heavy, highly professional? Is it silly and fun? What's kind of that vibe that seems to attract that audience within that topic? And so when we marry up those concepts of the right sort of format of videos and the right topics and put those together, then all of a sudden we're able to start targeting the right audience.
Okay, so it sounds like what you're saying is don't try and figure that stuff out for yourself. Like, look at modeled success, find what else has already worked, because somebody's been through the pain and the suffering and tried a load of things, and eventually they hit pay dirt, and you're like, well, don't go through that yourself. Like, learn from their wisdom, and use that. Yeah. Okay, so find an audience that's similar to the one, so a successful channel that's similar to what you want to do, got the same kind of audience or similar, and then see what kind of videos they're making, what kind of topics are they covering, and base what you're doing around that. Obviously, a little different, your own spin
in your style.
Yeah, kind of same but different, not just different.
Yeah, and I like to maybe pick a few channels. Maybe there's like 3 channels, and that way I can sort of take some of the elements that I really like from what they do and add my own to that and come up with something that is uniquely me. I'm not figuring this out from scratch. Some of the channels that are really big today that started a long time ago started at a time when the competition on YouTube was way less than it is today. Yeah. And so they could play around for a while. The YouTube algorithm was less sophisticated and there was less to work with. And so they could make a lot of mistakes and eventually sort of figure out what worked for them and just grow pretty organically. And today you still can, but you don't have to. And the beautiful thing about YouTube that we don't get with blogging is we get so many metrics. On blogging, I can't go to someone's blog and see how many people have viewed this blog post. But on YouTube, I can go and see like, oh, on this channel, I can see all the videos on this channel and I can sort them from most viewed to least viewed. I can see which topics and which kind of themes and formats are working really well on that channel. Since we have those analytics right in front of us, like, why wouldn't we at least learn from that? I would never suggest anytime somebody chooses to just kind of be a copycat, they always end up playing catch up. They always end up coming up from behind. So usually what happens is you kind of start out this way, just seeing what others are doing and learning from that, and then crafting your content. And then after a little while, you don't have to keep watching what they're doing because you figure out your audience and you start to see what's working for you. And so I never suggest that somebody like be a copycat, but I do think that there's so much value in learning from what others have done. And the other cool thing about this, by the way, is that YouTube has figured out what those channels' audience is, the most successful audience for those channels. And so if we can signal to YouTube in some ways that our content is similar to theirs, then all of a sudden YouTube's like, oh, well, maybe I can show this new content. I can try it out with people that watch this other channel. And we can signal that in a lot of ways. Some YouTubers will go like comment spam on other people's channels and try to get, that happens all the time. I actually find it's more beneficial to just within your content, give a shout out to somebody else that's successful, genuinely saying, hey, this other channel's awesome. I learned some really cool things from them. And sure, maybe you're sending some of your audience over there, but you don't really have much audience yet anyway. but YouTube has figured out pretty quick all of a sudden, like, oh, these two channels seem to have something in common. This one's mentioning that one. And that really, you're being genuine about it. and giving them credit where it's due. But at the same time, you're kind of signaling to YouTube on the back end, we're talking about the same topics. Maybe try my videos with that person's audience. I don't see why not to do that. YouTube is a social media platform, so we should be social, and collaborating is a great thing to do. Finding other channels that are similar in size, anything we can do to help grow each other's audiences. A lot of YouTubers have learned that when somebody else succeeds and we're like kind of working together, we both succeed. We don't have to be competitors. I've found that I can even work with other people that have courses similar to mine, but they're different enough. And I found that, like, at first it's like, oh, I don't know that I want to work with them. We're competitors. And then I come to find out that almost everybody in their course is also in mine. So we're not competitors,
Right.
like if they grow, I grow. It's a good thing. And so we should be doing a lot of that. We should be, just like we're doing here and talking on a podcast, we should be being social and working with others and learning from each other.
Nice. That's amazing. Okay. So let me recap where we've kind of got to so far. So we've talked about why courses is such an amazing business model versus affiliates and ads. We've talked about why organic versus ads to start with for driving traffic. Why YouTube you think is the best organic source. What kind of size channel you need. How to get started using YouTube by modeling success. And then we talked a little bit as well about the kind of product, the prices of the stuff that you're seeing that's selling, that's working well with YouTube. So a lot of hobby stuff is kind of working in this space. I know language learning is one that works really, really well here.
Really well, yeah.
A lot. Self-help, spirituality, we see continually. It's not that B2B stuff doesn't work. It's that you can do more expensive ones with B2B, whereas like what we're talking about here is more the cheaper courses, memberships, that kind of thing. That's a bit, under a few $100s or something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just from my experience, coming from kind of a corporate background, if I have to go to my employer and say, hey, I'd love you to pay for me to take this course, I found it on YouTube. It's just like, okay, no, I'm not going to pay for that. I want some accredited institution. And it's funny because I've seen independent course creators create way better content in many cases than some of these professional institutions. But I don't know. I don't have much experience creating that kind of content or even creating YouTube channels sort of around the more high ticket. I think it's probably doable. And as the world sort of shifts this direction and, content on YouTube is being given a little bit more credibility, I think it may be doable, but I know it works really well for these lower ticket items. And some of them, when I say lower ticket, I'm talking about courses anywhere from, $30 up to $1,000, but usually not the $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 kind of courses. Oftentimes people are going to want to feel like that's tied to an organization that they've heard of and has a multi-year reputation within an industry.
Amazing.
And I could be wrong there. You know more about that than I do.
Well, what we're seeing mostly is, the kind of people we're working with, they're generally, it's under $500. If you want to start selling stuff from a funnel point of view, if you want to start selling stuff for more than 1,000, definitely, but really more than 500, you need to start getting into stuff like webinars. Past 2,000, you have to get into like sales calls, and it changes the model entirely. It's now a whole different kettle of fish. And it's not that YouTube can't help with that. It's just that it's a very different model and it changes all of the parts of it. So you have to just be aware of that. And like we sell more expensive stuff and we do sales calls and, like help people one-to-one and what have you. But that's very different to the model that we're using with our clients, where it's like, okay, everything is sold through email promotion. You go from YouTube channel to email list to sending an email promotion and somebody will go and buy. And it's like, that's a very different kind of system. So I would say I generally see under 500 is like a really good sweet spot that fits really well for this.
And another great thing about this, by the way, is if we're doing an under $500 course at scale, then that almost becomes, there's a word for this and it's totally like left my mind, but it becomes kind of like an entry point for the higher ticket item, because the people who bought your course or your membership or whatever at that lower price, those are people who were sold at that level. And then if they're really buying into what you have and what you can do, then all of a sudden maybe you do have a $2,000 or $5,000 more high touch or high value kind of a product that's for those who are really serious about it. And now all of a sudden you have this great group of people who've already bought in. And there's a subset of them who are the ones who are really successful with whatever you taught in the course, who want what's next. We do see this. We get people asking for more. We've done an event before that we charged $2,500 a ticket and sold out in a day. We've done that kind of a thing. And it's those people who are already totally bought in and have usually paid for the main course. So you end up like sifting your YouTube channel, you filter out everybody that's not going to buy. And so all those who bought, and now all of a sudden you've just got this one group of people who, from them, there's going to be a subset that are willing to pay for the hands-on or the high ticket.
Yeah, we generally find that something around 10 or 20% of people will pay 5 or 10 times as much. Like we'll go up to that next level. It's something in that, it varies. Like I know people where it's 20% are spending 10 times as much, but as a rule, that's not that different. So there's something in that kind of ballpark.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's something we should be exploring more. The people we teach and with ourselves as well. Like there's people that want that and they're like hungry for that. And having that offering, I think, is a great way to level up the business to the next level. In addition to obviously running a paid ad strategy, which we're also not doing successfully yet. So I've got tons to learn, and as well as probably people to partner with again, because I have the same problem as I talked about in the very beginning, which is I came into this and it was like, I got to learn how to do everything. And you got to build up the team and you got to work with the right people and allow your business to become a business.
Yeah. And it's hard to make that emotional shift as well. 100%.
It is.
Now, if people have heard this and they're like, man, I need some more Ricky in my life. I need to learn more about this stuff. I want to build up this YouTube channel. Where should people go next?
There's really 2 places. If you want more Ricky in your life, you're going to go to the Income School YouTube channel. There, I'm going to talk a lot about blogging, but also kind of all of these topics quite a bit. But then there's also the Channel Makers YouTube channel. That's also a part of our organization. And that's going to teach you YouTube, lots of strategies, tons of tips, amazing ways to make your channel successful, all just for free on YouTube. So check out those 2 channels and you're going to get as much of me as you'd like.
Nice. So the Channel Makers one is youtube.com/channelmakers. And then the Income School one as well is probably, I'm going to guess, /income school. We're going to, that is right. Okay, perfect. So
that's right.
youtube.com/income school. And we'll put both of those into the show notes as well. So if you want to go just click on them, then you can do that. Ricky, thanks so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate it. That's been fantastic. I've definitely learned a lot from it. For anybody listening, if you found the interview useful and you want to get future episodes, then subscribe wherever you listened. And we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,